Is the PS4 Pro and the mid-console upgrade a success? Let's discuss that and more in the 5th episode of the Everything PlayStation podcast, where we run down everything important regarding PlayStation every Monday 10 AM PST, 7 PM Central European Time and 6 PM UK time right here on the YouTube channel. And of course, I'm not alone. I'm here with Zach Sharps as always. Hey man.
Hey, how you doing? And you definitely aren't alone, man. I mean, I'm here. You know, there might be other people, you know, in the vicinity. So yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
great to be back.
Yeah, great to be back. Good vacation, yeah.
We of course, we of course skipped one episode because I was on holiday, but right now we will try and hit the Monday every time. So great that you're watching, great that you're listening. So we also heard a lot of people say, hey, are you going to release it on audio? And we'll be looking into that, but right now we will rock this video. So let's go and go with the topic, of course, where we go in depth on one specific issue, one specific thing that we want to talk about, this time the PS4 Pro, and then we do the rapid news where we discuss the most interesting PlayStation news and give a little bit of our reaction to that, and then at the end of the podcast we of course tell you what's coming out this week and share what our most interesting picks are. So let's start with the topic, and that is about an interview that was in the Edge magazine, but I'm over here on the PlayStationLifestyle.net website, where they put up a quote that WCZ Tech put up on their website. So it's all rigmarole, but we are here finally reading this quote now. So it was from of course, the Sony Interactive Entertainment Europe president, Jim Ryan. He doesn't think the PS4 or any other console will repeat their same 30-year life cycle as the PS2. Of course, there was games for the PS2 well in the PS3 life cycle. Of course, the PS3 had a really rough start, so Sony is still wanting to push the PS2, and the sales for that system were of course enormous. So it's not really surprising that that console saw support well beyond the launch of the PS3 as well. But Jim Ryan says that we will not see that again, almost certainly never repeat themselves. That's his quote. And then he also goes a little bit into the PlayStation 4 Pro and of course the Xbox One X that is launching this year, and both are of course a mid-console upgrade, meaning that they're not necessarily all the games run on the PS4 and the PS4 Pro as well, but on the PS4 Pro you might get a better frame rate, might get a better resolution, or almost certainly, but it depends on the game what you get. There's of course also the boost mode. You can record higher quality videos, stuff like that. The Xbox One X will be even more powerful than the PS4 Pro, so it will aim for 4K 60 FPS. So if you have a 4K TV, it's of course a nice console to get. But the question was if we might see further PS4 Pro, Xbox One X type hardware refreshment this console generation. He did not really know it yet. Obviously, the Xbox One X is not out yet, so it's too soon to say. But I think that what was interesting is what he said. I think we're only 6 months into the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it's too early to tell. The Xbox One X hasn't launched yet, like I already said. I don't know if there's a way, if this is the way forward or not. So what we want to discuss here is the PS4 Pro a success. So will we see this repeat itself again? First thing, do you think that in this console generation we will see a PS4 Pro 2 or something like that, Zach? Or do you think they will move to the PS5 right after this?
No, they're definitely moving to the PS5 right after this, because I think it would be kind of silly if it was, like a PS Pro 2.0. I mean, it'd kind of be like one of those Apple things where they're like, this is the first brand new of something, and then, oh, there's a new brand new something or other, and they just completely, go to 5 or 6, and they're like, oh, we're going back to 1, guys. Kind of like what the Xbox One did. I mean, let's be honest here. Hey, it's the Xbox One, but we already had an Xbox beforehand. Wait a second. So, branding wise, it just wouldn't make sense. But the reason why we saw such a long lifespan, 13 years of the PS2, and we also saw a long lifespan for the PlayStation 3 as well, was because midpoint through the PlayStation 2's life cycle, around when the PlayStation 3 came out, that's when shit hit the fan on a global scale economically. So that caused a lot of issues in regards to, people having disposable income. So, that really hindered the beginning of those particular consoles, at least the PS3 and the Xbox 360, their particular lifespan. So that also prolonged the PlayStation 2, because that was a cheaper option for people who maybe didn't have enough money but still wanted to purchase a Sony product. that. So yeah, I mean, it's really one of those things where now, at least as of right now, you can, I mean, it's one of those things where we never know when the next recession is going to hit, but, you know, let's be fair here. It probably will be within the next 3 to 5 years. They usually run about 10 to 15 year life like cycles. So hopefully, you know, that's not the case, but let's just be honest here that, you know, around when the PlayStation 5 hits, that one might be a little bit longer than this particular generation, just because the economic situation during the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One was a lot more favorable to allow a shorter and a mid-cycle refresh. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's totally something that I did not even think of, but that's a really great point. Of course, that was also like the case why the PS3 was getting supported so much, because it was just easier to continue selling that product. That was of course way easier to produce than to already launch a new system that of course takes a lot of money, and of course for developers to learn something new, and games get bigger and bigger, more expensive and more expensive, so to move on to a new system is also like really cost heavy. So you're totally right. So I think that for the PS4, we already kind of discussed this in this podcast. 2018 is our bet, or 19, sorry. So that would mean that the PS4 launched 2013. 3 years later, we get the PS4 Pro. 3 years after the PS4 Pro, we get the PS5. I think we're really looking at that. Also looking at the lineup of the games that are coming, like The Last of Us Part 2. I think that's a 2019 game. There is not really a game announced, maybe Death Stranding, that will launch on PS4 and on the PS5 as well. Not any other game that looks to be a 2020 title. So it seems like Sony is cutting it off right there. But for now, so is the PS4 Pro a success? And Sony says that it kind of is. So in June, before E3, there was like an interview with one of the Sony higher-ups, and he said that 1 in the 5 sales since launch of a PS4 is for a PS4 Pro system. So that's of course pretty big, because the PS4 Pro, when it launched, was $400, while the PS4 Slim was really like you could get it for $250, maybe even cheaper, and then with Uncharted 4. So there were a lot of bundles. Still, a lot of people were buying the PS4 Pro, and 40% of the PS4 Pro buyers are existing PS4 users upgrading their hardware. So that's of course interesting, because that's of course also why they kind of did it. It made sense, of course, with the technology of the TV in mind, with 4K still. It's slowly becoming more of a mainstream thing, of course. If you're going to buy a new TV now, you're not going for full HD, you're going for 4K. So to have a console that supports that makes a lot of sense. And you just create a new market. I mean, I would not have spent like $400 on a new Sony PlayStation for 3 years until the PS5 came out. But now I did, because I got a PS4 Pro. So they just created this whole new market. I think that was a pretty smart decision. But so it seems like it's doing pretty well for them. It will be interesting to see if this will be the same for the Xbox One X, because of course, it's still like the problem with the exclusive games. The Xbox One X is also like really pushing the fact that they will have the most powerful console for the third-party games. So that's really what they're aiming for, because in terms of exclusive, they're not really there. But what would you say? Do you think that the PS4 Pro was a great step? Because we also kind of have the developers saying, okay, it's getting harder right now. They have to worry about 3 SKUs, and with the Xbox One X, even 4 SKUs. Although it also depends on the game, of course. If you look at, for example, I interviewed Matt Farrer, the game director on Elder Scrolls Online, and that game was purely first made for the PC. So to port it like to PS4 Pro and Xbox One X was way easier for them, because they already had the game running on 4K, so they could do it that way. Of course, this really depends on the game, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I was very surprised when I saw the 1 in 5 number. I mean, that's 20% since the launch of it, our PlayStation 4 Pros, which is really, I would definitely say that was a really good number that, they were able to release. And the fact that 40% of the PlayStation 4 Pro buyers are existing PS4 owners that are just upgrading is also a good statistic as well for them to see, because that just shows that within their ecosystem, there's a lot of interest within the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it's just a matter of, you know, getting some incentives to purchase it. So like we're already seeing some new bundles release, or a new bundle release for it, and we're gonna see during the holiday probably the same thing. That's probably gonna be, you know, probably like another, you know, bundle or so that will be for a PlayStation 4 Pro, and I'm sure people are gonna flock and buy that. So I mean, it's really one of those things where I definitely see it as a success, and I don't see that the Xbox One X is going to be able to repeat such a success, just because its price point is too high for a console gamer.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Also, there's not really any incentives for you to purchase an Xbox One X other than to play at 4K. I mean, you're not really going to get any exclusives that you can't get on PC. I mean, if you're going to spend as much as you're going to spend on an Xbox One X, you might as well just get a PC at that point. So it's really one of those things where, you know, who are they targeting with it, and what are they really planning? I mean, I see as a PC gamer, it's a good thing, because that means that since more devs are going to be targeting 4K, that means 1440p is going to have much better performance. So instead of me getting, you know, it's on a bad port, instead of me getting like 30 to 40 frames per second on a bad port, I might just get 60. So it might just be like completely amazing for me now on PC. So it's really was, you know, good news for the entire industry that this is sort of moving forward in this direction. And I don't think anyone who has an OG PS4 and, you know, is worried that they're going to completely discontinue it, I don't think they should worry, because there's a large user base there, and they're not just going to jump ship to the PlayStation 5 and leave you guys behind that quickly. I would see them at least continuing support for a few years after the PlayStation 5, just because of how big the entire you know, population of PlayStation 4 owners is.
Yeah, totally. And even with the PS4 Pro being pretty powerful as well, so that will really help as well. It will be interesting to see if the PS5, if they're just solely focusing on PS4 Pro games. I mean, some analysts like Michael Pachter, and of course he got a lot of stuff wrong, but it's still interesting to see his take sometimes. He said that they might just go for PS5 and PS4 Pro, and then PS5, PS5 Pro, something like that. That they will still support the PS4 system, but the PS4 Pro, so that people that are not willing to spend $400 on the PS5 will get the PS4 Pro, because that will be $200 then. That could be an interesting thing, but I think that they will just cut off the PS4 entirely, but like you said, still support it in some way.
I actually don't. I agree with Michael Pachter. I usually don't, but I do in that sense. And we've talked about this in the past, and that was sort of what I brought up, is they're going to discontinue the PlayStation 4 first, keep the PlayStation 4 Pro going longer, and then after that, they'll discontinue the 4, and then it'll just be the 5 and 5 Pro, and then once the 6 comes out, they'll discontinue the 5 first, and then the Pro afterward, just because there's still power there. It wouldn't hinder development at all, so there really would be no reason not to tap into that market, and it would provide a budget system for people who can't afford the jump to the next one. So
okay, yeah, we will of course follow it very closely, but it will be interesting to see if the Xbox One X will also like generate a lot of hype around it. But like you said, the price is a really big indicator. Without any exclusive games, that people might just stick to the Xbox One S, and if they are going for a 4K system, they might jump to the PS4 Pro, because there will be bundles for it, and it will probably be $150 or cheaper or even more. So will be interesting to follow that. Of course, the Xbox One X will launch in November with the launch title Crackdown. And like Crackdown is not like a game you want to show off to your friends, like a Horizon is or something like that. So yeah, they don't really have a showcase title. Yeah, of course, Forza is a really good one, but yeah, racing games, that's a different story a little bit. Okay, I think we could move on to the rapid news, right?
Let's head over to the rapid news, and the first thing that we're going to be covering is the August PlayStation Plus games coming August 1st. And we have a couple alright games and a little bit other ones that are like but we have Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, which is PlayStation 4, Just Cause 3, which is also PlayStation 4, Super Motherload, which is PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, Downwell, which is PlayStation 4, PS Vita, Snakeball, which is PlayStation 3, and Level 22, which is PS Vita. The two highlights there obviously are Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry and Just Cause 3. Freedom Cry, I got it cheap a while back, so it's not even that big of a deal for me. But Just Cause 3, that's a decent value.
Yeah, totally. And they got some DLCs there, so I can see for Square that they might want to see that. On the other end, though, the Avalanche Studios that is working on Just Cause has been quiet for a while, and I think the Just Cause launched in 2015, so they might be ready to announce a new Just Cause game anytime soon. So that might be something why they're giving that away, because it seems like a pretty random title to put in the PS4 Pro. I mean, or in the PS Plus lineup, because last week we, of course, and you can still download that, do that if you haven't already, or last month we had Until Dawn, and that's of course a PlayStation exclusive that Sony, I think, owns the rights of, so that makes sense. That does not cost them any money, while they had to make some sort of deal with Square. So might be that we get a new Just Cause game. I would not be surprised if that happened. And of course, yeah, to get some hype behind it, give the third one away for free. I played it a little bit. It is fun, but I'm not really a explosion type of guy. Like, of course, the incentive in the game is that you have to go out and do fun tricks to cause as many explosions as possible, but the world just feels really empty, and the enemies are just there for you to kill. It's not that exciting or challenging in any way, in my opinion, at least at what I played. So go check it out. It's a fun game to get for free, that's for sure. On the other hand, though, free, because
free with an asterisk.
Still have to pay. We still have to pay, of course. But the PlayStation Plus games that you get are of course nice, because I think you buy a PlayStation Plus to play online. But if you live in Europe and Australia, the prices went up. Actually, they will go up on August 31st, but Sony just announced it, and of course did a video with all the prices. But what it comes down to is that it's like, for a year, it's £10 extra, or €10. So that makes a €60 year subscription, and a £50 subscription from 40 and 50 euros. So yeah, it's going up. The reason is that they're looking at the market. It's just a bullshit reason. They think that you can get away with it, and they totally can, I think. But it kind of sucks that we don't really see something back from them, at least right now. So what's your take on this? Of course, we have to know though that the US got this like hike in price as well last year. So we in Europe and Australia are getting it a week or a year later.
Yeah, so I mean, it really just comes down to how I game. Like, I have my PlayStation 4 for single player games, exclusives only. You'll never really catch me having PS Plus, because I think PS Plus is a scam. As a PC gamer, I get free online, other than obviously my ISP bill, which everyone has to pay regardless. And Steam has zero downtime whatsoever. The last time I had a downtime was like 2 minutes. Where PlayStation Network seems like it's down like at least once a month for an extended period of time, and same with even Xbox Live. There's also the fact that on PC we have cloud saves for free across every single DRM platform. You have to pay for that on PlayStation Plus. We also have a variety of different bundle websites, like Humble Bundle gives away AAA titles within their monthly bundles all the time, along with a lot of other great games. Then you have Bundle Stars and a lot of other different places where you can, buy random bundles, so you can get a lot of value out of those bundles. And you actually get to choose what games you get. You don't have to just be like, oh, well, I hope next month has good games. You're like, oh, well, I just want to buy this bundle now and have fun with it. So I just look at the whole PlayStation Plus model as a system that I can't support financially. And that's just because I play all my third-party games on my PC. I play the exclusives on the PlayStation, which is why I'm on this podcast, because I actually do like the games that Sony releases. It's just I don't like their systems and their mechanisms to get money from your guys' wallets. But yeah, it's just one of those things that I do not at all support PlayStation Plus, because a lot of the stuff that it features should be included for free. And should not be at cost of you guys. It should be optional 100%, but it seems like more and more it's becoming, in order to have a good experience on the PlayStation 4 and be able to play online, you have to pay in order to actually get that. It's like a big paywall.
Yes, so. I mean, Microsoft started it. I think that if Microsoft did not do it,
Oh yeah, it was definitely Microsoft's fault. That's for sure with Xbox Live.
So yeah, then Sony thought, okay, yeah, we can get away with it as well, and I think they are glad they did because they're making millions upon millions.
Oh yeah, the profit margins, man. Oh my god.
yeah. So, and of course it did. I mean, we do have to say, like, in the PS3 era when it was free, it was pretty crappy most of the time. So it did increase in quality as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's and like not saying why you're increasing it and not giving any more value. I mean, that's pretty sucky, but I think that, in the end, I think that nobody will say, okay, now I'm going to quit PlayStation Plus. Not most of the people are just going to accept it, and especially with Destiny 2 coming out, you're not going to quit or something like that. So
yeah, they basically have you by the balls if you want to play online. So it is what it is.
Yes, so move on to For Honor.
Yeah, For Honor is getting dedicated servers, guys, and which is kind of interesting because in the past, I think it was around March, their game director originally said that peer-to-peer would provide them more stability and action accuracy. He obviously lied about that, as we all saw with the rollout of For Honor, and the great instability it had. I mean, I remember when I was playing the beta, for instance, the open beta, so it was close to launch by that point. It should have already been good to go. And these issues even continued in the launch from the streams I was watching. But you would be like 1v1ing someone like in a duel or whatever, and they would just teleport constantly. And it would just cause, a lot of issues with competitiveness not being there, because obviously if someone's teleporting all around the place, I mean, how competitive could you really be? How accurate could you really be? And one of the I can't remember the direct quote from a while ago, but it also had to do. He said that they chose peer-to-peer because the AI and how it's simulated, which is complete bullshit. Yeah, which is complete bullshit. Because one of the things that me and Jordan talked about behind the scenes was, okay, we have all these MOBAs like Paragon, League of Legends, Dota 2, all of which have minions, along with 5v5 going on at the same time. And most of the time, their systems are much more complex, too, in terms of the actions that you do. So it's like, okay, well, these games are doing it, and they don't have instability issues. Why can't you? And this is why we see them going to dedicated servers, because I think they finally realized that the bullshit charade is over, and they need to try and revive For Honor before it completely just dies. Because it's a game that has potential. It's just they need to make it stable. And
they dropped the ball, man.
Yeah,
it sold so well, man. It sold so well. The player base at launch was amazing. If they just did not do so greedy, like just invest in the servers, and I mean, they already had this mistake as well with Rainbow Six, and they thought they could get away with it again. And the Division had the same mistake, like that. All their games are now like they launch it, it has many problems, then they try to fix it, then people will come back, but then the ship already has sailed for the majority of people. And I think that will be the same for Honor. And I still think that it could get the same like spike or like go up just like Rainbow Six did, but I don't know. I think Rainbow Six, a lot of people slept on Rainbow Six when it came out, while a lot of people jumped into For Honor, and to get people back is, I think, harder than to get new people into the game. So
yeah, I mean, just take me for instance. Ubisoft was on my blacklist after Unity, which basically means I don't purchase any of their games. But after they released some games that had better stability, they went back up to my 50% list, which is I only buy it for 50% or less of the original cost. And that's how I got Rainbow Six Siege. Is I think I bought around $25 plus the season pass or whatever, the first season pass. And that's basically my plan with For Honor. If I ever get it, I'll maybe get it for like $10-$20, like I did with the Division as well. I bought Division for like $10, played that for a good bit, because as long as they keep releasing games that are in like not stable, don't have proper servers, have a lot of downtime, a lot of exploits and stuff like that, I ain't gonna support that. The most power we have as gamers is our wallet, and if you don't use your wallet for good, to support really good developers, then a lot of bad developers are gonna keep popping up, and that's what we don't want. So
yeah, I hope they learn from that. And that was also like one thing I tweeted when they announced the new I think Skull and Bones like pirate game. I hope the servers work at launch, because it just looks like the same mistakes will be happening with that game, and I really hope they learn and yeah, don't drop the ball at the start and then try to fix it, because I think that For Honor, it will, like I said, like it will get players back. I will totally go back and see if the servers are really great, because especially with For Honor, it's a PvP focused game where if someone left the game, everyone would stop. Like yeah, everyone would just wait for that player to leave. Like what is this, 2010 or something? It just broke the flow of the game, and you only get like points at the end of the game. So if the match ends like when there's only 30 seconds left on the timer, you get no reward. So hopefully they fix that. It just really broke the game, and it kind of bothers me that it's like 6 months after launch or even more. So we will have to wait and see. I will totally check it back. But a game that will work at launch because it's a single player game, and of course from a great developer, Naughty Dog, The Lost Legacy has gone gold. Of course, the standalone game, yeah, it was first a Uncharted 4 DLC, and now they kind of, yeah, battle and shouted from the rooftops, no, this is a full game. It's $40 though. It's The Lost Legacy, of course. It's with Nadine and Chloe. Of course, yeah, some fan favorite characters, especially Chloe, of course. Nadine was a villain from Uncharted 4, but it's great to see more from her as well, I think. So they also released a new 40 minutes demo, and I made a video about that as well, discussing what I saw there. And there was an event, but sadly I could not go there. It was playable there, like an hour of the game, something like that. So sadly I could not go there simply because I was on a holiday. But what they really showed was that this was like the biggest open world for a Naughty Dog game ever made. So that you can really just, yeah, there's a Jeep again, so you can really drive the car again, drive around, and also like there are some objectives, I think, in the world, but you can really like how you go there, and if you maybe look for other treasures in the world, like in areas that you don't really necessarily have to go to, you can still check that out. So that's pretty cool, and I think that they're really testing the water here for The Last of Us Part 2, because they already said that the world of The Last of Us Part 2 will be broader as well. Like there will be, and that also really fits The Last of Us Part, I think, like more open areas where you can just stealth through and, yeah, see what other people are doing and use the zombies or the infected, of course, to your advantage. So I really think that they are testing the water with this game, and can't wait to play it. It, of course, comes out on August 22nd and August 23rd in Europe. So what is your take on The Lost Legacy?
I will definitely be buying it. I mean, it's Uncharted. I like Uncharted. It's one of the reasons why I also have a PS4 is Uncharted. So, you know, I'll definitely be buying it, playing it, beating it, and having a good time with it probably, because it's Naughty Dog. You can usually, you know, count on Naughty Dog, you know, releasing a good experience. Usually they don't release half-baked experiences. I don't think I've ever encountered a bug in a Naughty Dog game that I can at least remember, and so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be an interesting experience to see how they handle a more standalone title, and how well it turns out, we'll have to see, but hopefully it turns out good, and hopefully the story is engaging, fun, and interesting.
Yeah, I hope so too. From what I've seen so far, I mean, I'm not really a jungle Uncharted lover, and I know that sounds weird because most of the areas are in the jungle, but I mostly enjoy these sort of urban environments. So what we saw right now was more of the jungle, so I really hope they will have some urban environments as well, like we saw in the first gameplay they showed. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I think it's interesting that they're like, yeah, not going for Nathan Drake, so that we kind of have some sort of different story. I think it's going to hurt the game really bad in terms of sales. A lot of people just want to play as Nathan because, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. He's the hero, of course. It's like a Lara Croft game without Lara, or a James Bond movie without James Bond. So, will be interesting to see if it's going to do well, if a lot of people will be picking it up. But it's releasing at a great time, and it looks to be great. So, we will totally cover it more as the game comes out, because hopefully, yeah, we'll get a copy to play it early. So let's move over to the drop. Of course, every week PlayStation posts a blog post where they say what games are coming out in the coming week. And then we are not just going to run down all the games, we're just going to pick some games that we think are worth your time, or at least look interesting. And you got something interesting, right?
Yeah, so the one that I saw that was, definitely one that you guys probably want to check out is The Long Dark. The Long Dark, it's a sort of exploration survival experience, and I haven't played it myself, but it's been on my wish list for the longest time, and I eventually will get around to playing it because every bit of gameplay I've ever seen from the game is very, very good. I mean, it's a game that you'll definitely buy, experience, and enjoy if you're a survival type gamer. It's not multiplayer or anything like that, but just on Steam alone, to give it a little bit more credibility for you, it has 90% positive ratings. And 92 overall. So recently, 90%. Overall, of all time, 92%. So it's a really high-rated game, high-rated experience. It's been in early access for a bit, but it seems like they're just implementing more and more great content because the ratings has been going up and up and up, and people seem to be really enjoying the development process of The Long Dark. So.
But what kind of game is it? What can we expect?
It's basically like a survival game, exploration survival game. You're in what appears to be like a very sort of wintry, area, very snow-ridden and very cold, and you have to sort of survive. There's wolves, there's a lot of other wildlife they have to worry about, bears, and so you just go around, build up your resources and explore the entirety of the areas and whatnot.
Okay, sounds cool. Yeah, totally interesting that it already got like a huge following on Steam and a lot of positive scores. So cool to see that it's coming to PS4 as well as a digital download. Another thing that I wanted to, because there are a lot of other games, but I think that Patapon also deserves a mention. You didn't know what it was, and I can see why, because it's a PSP game that is now getting remastered for the PS4 and the PS4 Pro. It's fully 4K. So it's kind of a weird art style, but it's a rhythm game where you kind of like control an army, and you have these weird Patapon songs, and then you try and collect new Patapon, and you try to beat the levels and stuff like that. And it's supposed to be pretty good. It's just the game you come and know and love, but now on the PS4. But it was of course made as a portable title, so I think that's the only struggle, that because it's now on the PS4, it does not really suit like the big screen. It's more, it would be more on home on the Vita or something like that. But yeah, they're probably testing the water and seeing, oh, are people interested in maybe a new Patapon game? Just like they did with Wipeout as well. They of course brought that back as well. And we see that with Parappa the Rapper, they also re-released that. And I think they did another game as well recently, but Crash Bandicoot of course. But that was not Sony itself, but Activision. But that also, like, it's still like an old PlayStation game, PlayStation franchise that is suddenly going back. And I think all of them did pretty well. I know Wipeout did pretty well, at least in the UK. So it will be interesting to see if we also see new games for them. But that's totally something you can keep an eye at. It's only $15, so.
Yeah, I did want to mention there's like one called Aven Colony. The reason why I wanted to mention it is because the cover looks awesome. It looks very intriguing, but red flag, Steam has it around like a 50% reviews, so probably not a good game.
Is it like City Skylines, something like that?
It's more in the tune of Ubisoft's City Builder. Oh, what's that called? Oh Jesus, I'm drawing a blank right now. Yeah, Ubisoft's. Oh, what's it called?
They don't have Tropico, right? No.
Oh my God, this is gonna bug the hell out of me. 1 second.
Are you going to search it?
Anno. There we go.
Oh
yeah. It's kind of more in tune to like an Anno clone in a sense, but definitely does not have good reviews. So I probably would steer clear from that, even though the cover looks awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So don't get fooled by that. Thanks for the red flags there.
Yeah.
So of course, thanks everyone for watching and listening to the 5th episode of the PlayStation or the Everything PlayStation podcast. We will be back next week every Monday, 10 AM PST, 7 PM Central European Time, and 6 PM UK time here on the YouTube channel. Of course, if you have any questions, feedback, drop it down in the comments down below. We will have a new topic, new rapid news, and more of that goodness next week. So Zach, I will speak to you then. Goodbye.